I'm Patrick Hutchison, the EMS Division Chief for the Westfield Fire Department. In week 5 of the Northside Fire Academy EMT course, the recruits were introduced to air medical transport. A Lifeline helicopter from Indianapolis came to Grand Park Sports Campus, where the pilot, flight nurse, and flight paramedic talked to the recruits about the advantages of air medical transport. While in a metropolitan area, it's seldom that we would require a helicopter to the scene. If there is prolonged entrapment or other unique circumstances, the helicopter could be beneficial with bringing highly skilled personnel and blood products such as packed red blood cells and plasma to the scene of the accident, and then accomplishing rapid transport to a level 1 trauma center. The flight crew worked with the recruits on establishing a landing zone, working around the helicopter safely, and hot loading the patient into the helicopter, which involves loading the patient with the rotor blades spinning. This week, the recruits toured St. Vincent Indianapolis Hospital. Staff there took them through the adult emergency department and the pediatric emergency department in Peyton Manning Children's Hospital. They also took tours of the adult and pediatric burn center and met with staff who talked to them about the advantages of specialty burn care, whether it be a thermal injury, chemical injury, electrical injury, and the team of surgeons, specially trained nurses, physical and occupational therapists, dietitians that work to speed up the recovery of the burn patient.
I'm Brandon Taylor, one of the clinical educators here for the Northside Fire Academy, as well as one of the field resource paramedics at Westfield Fire Department. This week, the recruits continued their clinical rotations, which consists of one 12-hour shift on their department they were hired by, as well as one 12-hour shift on a more urban system. This allows them to see a broad range of patients and get a much more diverse clinical experience. The reason that these ride-outs are invaluable is that it's through these patient contacts and these experiences that they're going to get that they start to build that library in their head that they call back upon when making decisions in high-stress environments.
Hi, my name is Martin Wilkie. I'm the EMS Chief at Whitestown Fire Department. So for today's class, we introduced them to the concept of mass casualty incidents. Those incidents are very rare and uncommon, but they hold with them a high degree of intensity, skill resources are needed, and expertise. So with that, we focused on the basics that the EMT would be employing, and that is mainly rapid triage and assessment of the patients. We built out a scenario at the end of the day that included a lot of realism. One of the points we want to make is we want to give them the experience before they actually encounter it. And by adding that realism, it heightens the level of control that's needed from the student. And that's one thing we're also working with them on. We want them to approach the scenes in a calm, collective manner. In this situation with MCIs, the EMT or the paramedic has to be very deliberate, very objective in their actions if they're going to provide the greatest good for the greatest number of patients. So the scenario we built out at the conclusion of the day was a simulated car into a group of pedestrians. It's something that's a real world possibility. And we built it out where we had them experience about 7 to 10 patients, where they had to categorize those patients in different levels of severity based on their MCI and their triage training.
You will feel a little bit more anxious just because of the nature of the goulash. So remember that you own your headspace, right? So that calm is contagious. Just remind yourself, the basics are, go right back to the basics. It's all basic level stuff. You can ask questions of the victim like you would, right? So they're going to role play back at you if you ask the right questions. If you need to take, if you're going to take a pulse, you got to take a pulse, just like the real world. You're going to check it, and at that point, they should break out of character and say it's 100 or it's 80 or whatever it is. Okay. You guys got, again, just if you need to, pause, tread water, I like to call it, tread water, recollect your thoughts, go about your actions, and move on down the line.
Hello, I'm John with the fire department. If you can move and walk, come over here.
Just going to sister.
What's our Lighthouse House Street for? Can you tell me, man? No, I don't know.
Is that a mental status? Okay, red.
What's everybody?
My arm hurts.
What's your mental status? If she's bleeding, we gotta do it. You got a tourniquet? Yeah. She's losing it. She's losing it. No breathing. Check her pulse.
Good radio pulse. Okay.
So the reason why we added the moulage and we created a scene that was as realistic as we could make it is just that it requires the student to focus much more, to really put together all their skill sets that they've learned to this point. And we want to provide a little bit of anxiety, because in the real world situation, it's uncommon, so it does add a little bit more stress to the first responder. So we want to work at having them calm their mind. We talked about the concept that they own their own mind and their thoughts, and calm is contagious. So if they approach the scene and the victims in a very calm and deliberate manner, that makes the situation and the scene go much better than it would if they did not. So for all providers, the skill set of triage and treatment of a mass casualty incident, again, is something that we may or may not experience in our careers, but it's one of those instances that really stress our capabilities. So the more often we practice on it, the more often we rehearse it, and the more realistic we can make it, the more controlled we'll be in that real world situation. And it's something that we attempt to practice on a very regular basis, because it's a very unique situation, and that's where we have to be rock solid. Well, thank you for watching this week's Northside Fire Academy update. We hope that you stay tuned and you pay attention to what we're presenting there on our social media accounts, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.